Hi, we're going to talk about discovering new foods and how great that can be for your health. I'm Jessica Morris with Wishing Well Works, and let's talk about all the advantages of trying new foods. So, when we are born, we have 10,000 taste buds at birth. And unfortunately, as we age, those taste buds decrease. So, as an adult, we will have anywhere from 2 to 4,000 total taste buds. Each taste bud has 10 to 50 taste hairs, these little cells. And what's interesting is those taste hairs renew themselves once a week. So when we are talking about taste and the science behind it, when we are chewing our food, air goes into the nasal passageway and enhances the entire experience so that we can better process flavor both through taste and smell. There are 5 taste sensations. I'm sure many of you are already aware of what these are, but it's sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. So early on for humans, that sweet was associated with higher calories, which was very important since food was hard to come by back for the early humans. Salty was something that they used to preserve food. So that was that association, was that preservation. Sour for those early humans can indicate something not being ripe or being unpleasant. And then bitter typically was associated with something that was poisonous. So all of these things is what helped us survive as early humans. And that umami sensation, that taste, is relatable to a beefy taste, or a lot of people connect it to mushrooms. But all of this sense of taste is called our gustatory system. When we have the process of foods, that is the olfactory system that is responsible for our sense of smell. So when you think about animals, their sense of smell is detrimental to their safety. They use smell to detect food, predators, and to mark their territory. So our olfactory nerve is the first of our cranial nerves, and it is part of our autonomic nervous system. Both the taste and smell senses use receptors to detect chemicals, and then the brain integrates that information to help us recognize those flavors. What's interesting is that we can taste up to 100,000 different flavors. So think about the foods that you like and the foods that you don't like. And there's always a reason for the foods that you don't like. It might be that you had a poor experience with it. You just don't look how you don't like how it looks. You don't like how it smells. Maybe it was something that you were forced to eat as a child, and now as an adult, you just refuse to eat it, that poor association with that food. But then think about all the foods that you do like. Maybe there's a certain food that puts you in a really good mood when you eat it. Also, our hunger level will play a huge role. Think about the food choices you make when you're hangry versus just being a little hungry. They're probably vastly different. And that really comes into play with what we gravitate towards. And our mood plays a huge role in that. Also, our health status. Perhaps we are trying to lower our sodium or trying to eat more protein. So those will really influence what we choose to eat. And then you can't discount the cultural influences, the way you were raised, what your culture was like, what your background and ethnicity is going to be gearing you towards what kind of food you gravitate towards. At the same time, if you are looking to explore some new cultural foods, perhaps you know that you like Italian, but you've never tried Persian. This is a great time for you to really expand your palate, so to speak. So I encourage you to look for foods you've never tried before, maybe from different regions of the world, Try to find a local restaurant or a recipe you can find on Pinterest to really try something new with a new culture. There's also other factors that come into play of what we like and don't like, and that is the temperature of the food. Maybe you like more hot foods versus cold. Maybe you like a hot soup versus a cold gazpacho. There's also that sweet and salty. Which do you prefer? What do you gravitate towards? And sometimes we just aren't in the mood to cook. We just want to go through a drive-through and grab that food and be done and satisfy that need. But there's so many things that come into play on what we like and dislike. Now, what's interesting is there's probably food you can list right now that you don't like. But did you know that it takes a minimum of 12 times to be exposed to that food to your body to truly know if it doesn't like it? So for those of you that have young children, if there's a food that you introduce that the child doesn't like, really think about giving that child 12 different opportunities to try that food. Maybe you prepare it in a different way or season it differently, but for yourself and maybe for your family, do try to give yourself many, many opportunities to try that food and maybe in a new way. So this is the typical diet, which we're all very familiar with. It's very high in salt and sugar and saturated fats, and tends to be very low in the lean proteins, the fibers, the vitamins and minerals. This is what we really want to try to change. How can we improve that typical American diet to one that is much more robust and well-rounded? If you think about your body as a vehicle, when you have your car, you want to put in the best gas possible. You want to keep it tuned, you want to keep the oil changed. Our body is no different. If you want your body to function to the optimal level, you have to give it the right amount of fuel. And that right fuel means the healthiest foods possible, ideally in their rawest form, the minimally processed, but doing that wide variety of fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and grains is what's going to give your body the fuel to recover and to take whatever demands you have on it. So there are lots of benefits to trying new foods. And there are some of you that are listening that might be very, very adventurous, and there's others that really like to stay within their comfort zone. But here are some benefits to trying something new. If you do that, then you can actually eat more nutrients, because if you're going to expand your palate, usually that's going to come with some introduction of new fruits and vegetables, and that can really increase your nutrition. Also, if you are looking to try new foods and different things, that can actually help you be healthier. Studies have shown that when we have a really wide range of a diet, that it can lessen our risk of diabetes and heart disease. Another thing that happens when you try something new, a new food, is that it can really enhance your mood. So what I want to challenge you with is at your next meal, really try to get engaged with your food and enjoy it. Look at how it looks on your plate. How does it smell? How does it feel when you have it, if you're holding it with your hands or it's on your fork and you put it into your mouth, what is that sensation like? But really trying to enjoy it in the moment so you make it more of an experience. Even if it's a drive-through hamburger, you can still savor that food and enjoy it as you're eating it. And then also it can help improve our gut health, because if you are expanding that food selection, then chances are you're going to be increasing your prebiotic exposure and your probiotics. Now, if you are looking to try some new foods, I recommend that you pair it with something you already like. So you can pair it with some spices that you already have and use on a regular basis. And some spices pair really well with food, such as coriander with chicken, cinnamon and apples, cumin and black beans. Those are kind of natural pairings that we have. But you are welcome to try something really out of the box if you want to put some crazy pairings together. But think about the benefits that some spices bring to your health, such as turmeric, cayenne, cinnamon, ginger. Those are really great for our body, especially to reduce our inflammation. Herbs are a wonderful way to really enhance flavors and take your dish to the next level. These can be dried or fresh. If they're dried, they're a little more intense than fresh, so you're going to use more dried herbs than you're going to use fresh. But there's so many wonderful herbs out there: parsley, basil, oregano, rosemary. So think about how you can incorporate those into your diet as well. And then you can always try something by adding sauces and flavors, such as teriyakis, soy sauces, marinades, um, honeys. There's one lemon honey ginger sauce. There's all kinds of great things that you can try to really elevate that experience. But like I said, I recommend that you pair something you already like with something you want to try. And something I like to do is if you're wanting to really increase your vegetable intake, smoothies are a great way to go. And if you're not a real big fan of kale or spinach, that's the perfect time to use that is put it in a smoothie. It blends up. The taste is undetectable, and you've already increased your fiber and your micronutrients just by adding that little bit of spinach and kale into your smoothies. Another great thing to try out is to take a sweet potato or even butternut squash and add it to your soups or your chilies. That little bit of sweetness can make all the difference in a really great chili. When we are looking at vegetables and oils, when we want to really increase our diet with vegetables, there's so many opportunities for cooking. You can steam, roast, air fry, of course, is hugely popular, grill. There's great things you can do. And so look at new ways to try something. There's a lot of people that really don't like Brussels sprouts, but if you try them in the air fryer with a little bit of honey or ginger or garlic, it completely changes how the Brussels sprout tastes. You can also take them and shred them really finely and add them to a salad, and you've done a massive boost to your diet with those cruciferous vegetables and added fiber at the same time, and it'll just blend right in with your lettuce. When you're looking to use oils, it's recommended that you try to use unrefined oils. Those are the highest quality oils, and those also are referred to as virgin. Those type of oils are only go through a filtration process. So they're very, very pure and the best oils that you can use. There's also some oils that you can use cold and some that you can use to be heated. Not all oils are the same, so be sure to read on the label which one is deemable for high heat and which one would be best to be cold and kept on salads or over vegetables. So the Japanese have a saying that for every new food we try, we gain 7 days of life. I may be immortal by now. That was a quote by Bruza Dumas. So I'm all for it. Who here would not want to extend their life by 7 days just by trying one new food? So make that your challenge for yourself this week, that where can you incorporate something you've never had before? Try a new recipe, try a new food. When it comes to eating, texture is a big thing. It's a big component for a lot of people. There are many people that they don't like food simply because of the texture, that it could be slimy, chewy, soft, crunchy, really hard. There's all kinds of textures that get involved, and there are people that do have a sensory processing disorder that really is sensitive to the textures of food. But when we are chewing our food, think about how that evolves in the mouth. Does it go right over the tongue, such as a soup or a smoothie, or is it something you have to chew? Does it bend? Does it stretch? Does it crunch? Does it break when you're eating it? And then also, how long does it take you to actually chew that food? The more you can chew a food, then the easier it is going to be for your body to digest that. It's going to lower that digestive gas. So do try to chew your food as much as possible. There are three things you want to be careful of when you are looking at foods in general, or especially foods that are new. You do want to look at the preservatives. Things that are shelf stable will have will tend to be the less healthier options for you. So you want to try to get things in the most natural form. Now, things like beans and canned lentils, those are going to obviously be shelf stable in a can. But looking at other types of foods that might have more chemicals and additives in them to make them more shelf stable. They do this so that they can prevent that bacteria and fungus from going. Food coloring is another thing that you want to avoid when possible. Those artificial food dyes can be unsafe for the body. They can produce allergic reactions. They have been connected with potential cancer risks, and they can induce some hyperactivity. There are some dyes that can cause allergic reactions. So do pay attention when you read those labels for blue 1, red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6. And then there has been studies shown that can be a link between that exposure to food dyes and behavioral issues in children, such as ADD, ADHD, that hyperactivity, and depression. So do be aware of that. And then when it comes to sweeteners, there are different versions. There's the natural sweeteners, such as that are found in fruit and in honey. And then there's others that are the process, those artificial sweeteners. Those artificial sweeteners can think of like the sweeten lows. Those have been shown to have a link to a higher risk of stroke and heart disease. And there are things like Truvia and stevia that are made with sugar alcohols. For some people, they have some sensitivity. It can cause some bloating, gas, and diarrhea, but they are safe to use in your diet. There's also monk fruit oil. That's another natural sweetener that you can explore as well. So let's look at some flavor profiles and what they're compatible with. So what I'll do is I will not read all of this to you, but I will give you an example of something that you can add, as such as a seasoning or a spice. And then I'll show you a food that actually has that sensory component. So if you're looking to do something that is salty or savory, has that umami flavor, then you're looking to add some salt to that, obviously, or some soy sauce. If you're looking for a food that has that flavor profile, that's going to be your mushrooms, your beef broths, your tomatoes. For sour, if you're looking to add something sour to your dish, then look towards citrus. That's going to be the best option for you. But then there's foods that are sour, such as tomatoes. Sweet, I think we all easily know all the wonderful sweeteners that we can add to dishes, such as honey, barbecue sauce, molasses, jams. Those are all great things you can do to add some sweetness. But then those foods that are naturally sweet, look to your fruits, your watermelons, all your berries, carrots, sweet potatoes. Like I mentioned earlier, the sweet potato is a great thing to add to a chili. Blend it up. Your family would never even know it's in there, and it adds this great amount of sweetness. Corn, especially when it's ripe in season, the butternut squashes. So there's lots of things that are naturally sweet. For spicy, of course, we've got hot sauce that you can add, wasabi, jalapenos, and then some foods that have that naturally are your arugulas. They're this spicy, a little bit bitter of a lettuce, a green, but great to add to a salad. And then radishes are another one. And then as far as the bitterness, if you're looking to add that coffee or cocoa are two good things you can add. And then if you're looking for those foods that have that naturally, there's the dandelion greens and radicchio and okra. Those are some things you can do with that. But at the very top of the screen, you'll see what's called the flavor star. So when you see the connection that is the blue lines, you can see a blue line between the salty and sweet. When you pair those together, that enhances a flavor. So salty and sour, salty and sweet. The darker line shows what is a good balance. So that sweet and spicy, that salty and bitter, that sour and bitter, those are some good balancing combinations. So on this page, I have got some interesting flavor combinations for you. So on the left side, you can see 10 very unique flavor combinations. You've got olives and oranges. You've got soy sauce with oranges, or barbecue sauce with oranges, apples and onions, balsamic vinegar and berries. And actually, I will say that balsamic vinegar on strawberries are absolutely delicious. Curry and bananas, beets and cumin, beer and chocolate. That's beet, not beer. That is a beet. Beets and chocolate, chocolate and chili, tomatoes and strawberries, and apples and pumpkins. So if you look in the other part of the chart, you've got those classic combinations that we're all very, very familiar with. Sea salt and caramel, delicious combination. Mozzarella and tomatoes. But on the other side, there are some more unique things that I'm wondering if anybody here would even be willing to try. If so, I'd love for you to put it in the chat. Of these contemporary classics, which one would you be willing to try? White chocolate and caviar, chocolate and pink peppercorns, caramelized cauliflower with cocoa, banana and parsley, harissa and dried apricot, salmon and licorice, oyster and passion fruit, oyster and kiwi. You can see in the picture that is melons with prosciutto. That's a really classic food combination, that's sweet with that savory. And then the other image is cheese stuffed dates. So that's a great combination. I believe it looks like blue cheese, which is blue cheese with dates is a fantastic thing to add to your charcuterie board as well. So I wanted to give you 3 recipes that are really easy to make, and they're more of that contemporary food pairing. So at the top of each picture, I have shown you the website, and then I put an image and of course, and the name of that recipe. So an apple lavender muffin, you can get that Italian food forever. The apricot chicken with mushroom cream sauce, that's at thefreshmarket.com. And a roasted butternut squash with lime juice. You can find that at Bon Appetit. One thing I want you to think about is when you're doing some food swaps or trying something new, look at how can you really boost the nutritional component of that food. For instance, if you're going to have 1 cup of white rice, that's about 4 grams of protein. You could swap that for 1 cup of quinoa and gain 8 grams of protein, double your protein for the same amount of something that is a complete protein on top of it, and maybe a grain that you don't normally try. So in summary, I hope you have come to understand that the broader palette we have, the greater we can meet our nutritional needs. We can have a better way to fuel our body in an optimal way, that we can have that daily living to being the best it can be. And just know that the average American meal has close to no micronutrients, those vitamins and minerals, and that our daily life, what we eat, is the lifeblood of our cells. So what are you feeding your cells? What are you feeding your body? How can you make some small improvements? So think about, you want your diet to be as colorful as possible. When you look down at your plate, you want to see the rainbow on that plate. It's going to be the best thing for you. And there's so many great opportunities to try new things. So if you think about that, those colors, think about your health and how can you really enhance your own well-being just by trying something new. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.